Being a very eminent professor of emerita, could you kindly tell us how you see the current situation that Sri Lanka is faced with economically?
Of course, it's a very difficult question, but on the other hand, as I said, I'm very optimistic. At the moment, as I said, we in the industry is having a set of laws because of the economic and political problems. But I think we have to help ourselves. That is why I am saying that our industry with the other sectors, if we can do our own entrepreneurial projects to develop our industry, so that I think we have a good future. We shouldn't be looking at it gloomily and say, oh, we are going down and we have no way of coming up. But if we look at that pessimistic way, we'll all go down. But I am not looking at it from that point of view. At the moment, I'm just saying my company, we are looking at carbon footprint so that we can work out what is the carbon footprint of your building and say, okay, let's see how we can reduce it or improve it. If your concrete is having a high carbon, why can't the structural engineers do some value engineering and reduce that? So these are some of the things that our professionals can do. I'm not saying the industry is really doing well, but for just 1.5 years, we have to stay afloat doing these innovative things to become better so that when the highs come, we are there.
Proceed with today's session, I would like to invite, or rather welcome, Dr. Rohantha, a director of APIT and head of postgraduate school. Dr. Rohantha, over to you.
Thank you very much, Ruth, and it's actually an absolute honor for me to introduce Professor, who is, I have worked with Professor for many years when I was heading the National Council for Economic Development, and she was one of the most respected heads of the economic cluster in the finance ministry. Let me share her profile, a very unique and distinction of personality, who is a chartered architect, a chartered quantity surveyor, a project manager that accounts for over 30 years of experience in the design and the construction industry, both in Sri Lanka and abroad. Currently, she's the chairperson of QServe, a group of companies. The work experience include being an honest independent consultant, a quantity surveyor, ranging from multinational and multi-million rupees 5-star luxury hotels, luxury condominium units, factories, restaurants, housing schemes, semi-luxury housing schemes, sports complexes, and warehouses, like many projects varying from different kinds of magnitudes and nature. Academically, a PhD in Dispute Resolution College in Law, Murdoch University in Perth of Western Australia, Master of Science Building Studies, Curtin University Technology, Western Australia, Bachelor of the Applied Science in Quantity Surveying, Curtin University Technology, Australia, Associate Diploma in Quantity Surveying, Western Australia Institute of Technology, Perth, Western Australia, Certificate in Mediation, Australia, Certificate in International Construction Management, Sweden, MSc in Associateship in Architecture, Western Australia Institute of Technology, and Bachelor of Science in Built Environment and Part Royal Institute of British Architects, University of Colombo, Sri Lanka. The Professor of Building Economics, Head of Department, Senior Lecturer in the Department of Building Economics, Dean, Faculty Architecture, University of Moltupill, Sri Lanka, Senior Lecturer in University of Western Sydney in New South Wales, Australia, President of the Institute of Quantity Surveyors, President of the Sri Lanka Institute of Architects, Regional, President South Asia of the Commonwealth Association of Surveyors, Land Economists, and Chairman Member of many technical advisory committees of the Sri Lanka Institute of Architects and the QSAs. Government of Sri Lanka. Currently the Dean of the Colombo School of Arch Construction Technology campus. She is an accreditation committee member of the Ministry of Municipality and Urban Planning, Qatar. Ladies and gentlemen, I am really deeply honored to introduce Chitra Weddikkara, Emeritus Professor, Chartered Architect, Chartered Quantity Surveyor, Cost Engineer, Mediator, Adjudicator and Project Management. Professor, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rwanda. Today's sort of the webinar, the topic is sustainability in built environment towards fourth industrial revolution. But before I start, let me thank Dr. Rwanda of the Asia Pacific Institute of Information Technology for having invited me to deliver this guest lecture. Welcome to all of you and good evening. One of the things that Dr. Rwanda requested me to deliver a lecture on the construction industry was that he asked me one specific request from him was that it should not be gloomy, but it should be futuristic, giving hope to the industry, where at present the industry seems to be struggling due to prevailing economic conditions. As a construction industry personnel for last 30 years, as well as being an academic, always building students have been taught to look at the construction industry in an optimistic manner rather than a pessimistic or a bleak manner. The nature of our industry is such that it is like a musical wave where it is very cyclical, having highs and lows. Generally, the period is about 5 years. Sometimes it can go more than 5 years. So that is generally give you a little bit of a introduction to the construction industry for those who are not in the industry but in businesses and other professionals and other professions. So I thought I'll just give you a little bit of the construction industry, because today with the current economic conditions, the construction industry is not doing too well. But that doesn't mean we have to look at it as a bleak future, because we are always very optimistic and we hope that things will get better. So this lecture is a repeat of my keynote delivered by me for the Royal Institute of Surveyors, Malaysia, for the RISM International Research Conference 2022, namely RISM IRC 4. So some background is given here of the way this lecture was prepared by me, since it is important for you to understand the objective of this lecture. When I was requested to deliver a keynote by organizers of RISM Research Conference on the sustainability in built environment towards a fourth industrial revolution, I consented to deliver this keynote thinking, as a researcher, I could come up with some key milestone issues that could be deliberated among the research fraternity. However, having commenced my own research on the topic in question, I was truly amazed to see the wide body of knowledge written in the world on these two topics. So I felt that I can't give a keynote, but I can give some things that world research bodies have written about these two topics. So then I decided to put forward some key statements and issues that has been found in my journey on the topic, and put forward a collage of such statements that may be worth noting and discussing as built environment professionals, and maybe you also in other professional groups. So I hope this will be acceptable and understood by the participants. Okay, let me commence by questioning what is the fourth industrial revolution. According to Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, I quote, "We stand at the brink of technological revolution that will fundamentally alter the way we live, work, and relate to one another. In its scale, scope, and complexity, the transformation will be unlike anything the humankind has experienced before." Mind-boggling, isn't it? We do not yet know just how it will unfold, but one thing is clear: the response to it must be integrated and comprehensive involving of all stakeholders on the global polity, from the public and the private sectors, academia, and the civil society. Just to give a little bit of a history of the revolution, the first industrial revolution used water and steam power to mechanize production. The second revolution used electric power to create mass production. The third used electronics and information technology to automate production. So what is the fourth industrial revolution then? Now the fourth industrial revolution is building on the third digital revolution that has been occurring since the recent years. And it is defined as driven by exponential increases in computing power, by the availability of vast amount of data from software to discovering of new drugs, algorithms used to predict our cultural interests, digital fabrication technologies interacting with biological world on daily basis. The engineers, the designers and architects are combining this computational design, additive manufacturing, materials engineering, and synthetic biology to pioneer a symbiosis between microorganisms, our bodies, the product that we consume, and even the buildings we inhabit. So can you see, we are in a completely fourth revolution where computer power data is going to be the most important factor in our development, even in construction, end quote. So as built environment professionals, what is our challenge? One can see that this fourth industrial revolution will effect a fundamental change in the ways that we live and work. I know most of you are experiencing that. It will be a new chapter in human development, enabled by merging of the physical, digital, and the technological world, and will fashion in technologies in ways that create both the promise as well as peril. So we as environment professionals, we should know what are the good things and the bad things, or what are our risks also. As digitalization continues to advance rapidly, the pressures on stakeholders in architecture, I'm sorry, I'm talking about construction-related professionals, but it applies to others also. Engineering, construction, and operation, which is called the eco-industry, to revamp and restructure the activities and outputs will become increasingly prevalent. Unfortunately, in Sri Lanka, we are a little bit behind, but we hope that our academics and academic institutions will do such things to bring our young millenniums and young professionals to speed. So what are the new tools for built environment professionals and our challenges? Built environment professionals will have to work with tools such as artificial intelligence for sustainable construction, augmented reality, big data, building information modeling called BIM, biomimicry, blockchain, cryptocurrency, cyber security, drone gamification, Internet of Things, machine learning, nanotechnology, robotics, and virtual reality. I must say, when I did my courses many years ago, all these things were not even heard of. But today, the young professionals in the industry, wherever you are, must be attuned to this kind of new developments in the technology, in the digital technology. These will be our challenges. And as educationists and trainers, I'm sure APIC is number one in their own fields. In both the public and the private sector, our focus should be on upskilling of our young professionals and students in the built environment if they are to keep up with these challenges. Okay, what are these new tools for? And I thought I'll put a little bit of pictures on it so that my lecture doesn't get boring. So what is biomimicry? Biomimicry, I think in our own Sri Lanka, we have done this in our past histories, but these are coming as new things. Biomimicry, from bios meaning life, and mimes means imitate, is a science that studies nature's best practices and an art that emulates those solutions to solve man-made challenges. I know some of the University of Morato architects are practicing this. I have first-hand information on this biomimicry, where some of the architects are looking at these aspects. Okay, biomimicry also looks out at what nature has done and learns from it. We have to look at nature and model our designs after its most optimal systems. I know some of these people are looking at seashells and the leaves and the trees and things like that. Our architects in the University of Morato and all who are looking at this aspect to see how they can be used to make sure our built environment is much better and use these challenges to become a better environment. So the other one is augmented reality. Is an interactive experience of real world environment where the objects that reside in the real world are enhanced by computer generated perceptual information, sometimes about multiple sensory modalities, including visual, auditory, haptic, somatosensory, and olfactory. So I am just repeating something that has been given. I have never experienced augmented reality. I'm sure some of you professionals who are in the IT sector must be experiencing these newfangled digital tools. Okay. So I'm just giving you a little bit of a picture of some of the digital tools that are being used. Blockchain technology. What is blockchain technology? It's a system of recording information in a way that makes it difficult or impossible to change, hack, or cheat the system. You know, there are lots of hacking done today. Even recently my server got completely hacked by some kind of a ransomware, and then I had to get it encrypted. So they asked me for 450,000 rupees, but I didn't give it. So still my server is encrypted, and now I have to find a way of doing it. So in reality, see, a blockchain is essentially a digital ledger of transactions that is duplicated and distributed across a network of computer systems on the blockchain. I'm sure quite a lot of companies are using this blockchain technology. The second one is, of course, cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. I'm sure there's a lot said about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in the market. And cryptocurrency is a digital or virtual currency secured by cryptography and based on the network that is distributed across a large number of computers. I must say once again, many years ago, my own computer got encrypted and the ransomware asked me to pay $450 worth of Bitcoins. No, 1.37 Bitcoins, which amounted to at that time $450. So it was a real hassle to get a Bitcoin agent and pay that to get my computer encrypted. This is going back about 3-4 years. So we as professionals encounter these kinds of problems in our daily lives. So we as professionals must know these digital tools and how to use those digital tools safely for the betterment of our profession. Okay. This is the other one. Then the other one is circular economy. I'm sure everybody has heard about circular economy because in construction, we are looking at circular construction because we feel that we build, there is a wastage, but then we can reuse them and reuse them back again in the construction industry. So similarly, there is circular economy, right? And there's smarter use and manufacturing, extending lifespan of product and parts, recovery and reuse of materials, refuse and reduce, reuse, recycle and recover. So these are the new technologies that are coming in the Industrial Revolution 4 because the world, our globe is depleting in certain resources and we as professionals must take care of looking after for our future generation. Then there is, of course, the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things describes physical objects with sensors, processing ability, software and other technologies that connect and exchange data with other devices and systems over the internet or other communication network. So for me, in my construction industry, I'm very sure that most of our construction industry personnel are not into digital tools. So that is why it's very important for academics to get the new professionals involved in these things and their knowledge been enhanced. The other one is big data, computing. Extremely large data sets that may be analyzed computationally to reveal patterns and trends and associations, especially relating to human behavior and interactions. I think these are used in health sector, and much IT investment is going towards managing and maintaining big data. So these are some of the tools that are being used in the world all over. I'm not sure in the IT sector how much it is being used. Definitely in our construction sector, most of the things are not being used. So that is why I thought that this lecture would be very important for the construction industry personnel. Then the other one is drone gamification. Can be defined as the use of game principles in non-game context, including to deliver knowledge and know-how, for example, acquiring various points and coordinates. Now, I know I'm now in an arbitration, I can't tell you which arbitration, but where they're using digital data to identify certain things. So now I am learning how this digital data is being used, so that when I become an expert witness, I can be of help. So in the construction industry, these things are becoming very, very important. Okay, the other one is, other than the IR4, what is sustainable development? This is a word in everybody's mouth where all over the world. Important catchphrase among built environment professionals all over the world is sustainable development. This has been emerging as a global strategic vision that should be addressed to meet the economic, social, environmental, and technological challenges that we face with the arrival of the fourth industrial revolution. If you have to go hand in hand, there are lots of challenges that we feel. Sustainability has become important to the world's future. You know, as per the United Nations Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for the Sustainable Development states that in the second decade of the 21st century, humanity is confronted with the emergence of the fourth industrial revolution, or Industry 4, or IR4, and the demand to implement the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, set out in the Agenda 2030 for sustainable development must be adopted in all countries of the world by 2030. Today, I was having, just to digress, I was having a South Asia board meeting of the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors from India. And India is now looking at, their companies are looking at these sustainable goals. And India is going very forward in this sustainability, even though they have a huge population, I think more than 55 million. But in our country, we are only 20 million, but I don't know whether we are anywhere there at the moment. The agenda balances and links the three dimensions of sustainable development, which is economic, social, and environmental initiatives. So for those who are in the profession, must look into this in the future. Various countries and the world regions are adopting the advancement of SD and to see how it will impact innovation. I'm sure the IT sector must look into see and how innovation, sustainability, IR4, all can be combined to give better global development. What are the several definitions of sustainability? With sustainable development, several definitions of sustainability have been proposed over time. The World Commission on Environment and Development Declaration reads, I quote, sustainable development is a process of change in which the exploitation of resources, the direction of investments, the orientation of technological development and institutional change are made consistent with the future as well as present needs. According to this particular reference, 2021 states that sustainability is directed at enhancing human living standards while improving the availability of natural resources and ecosystems of future generations. Dr. Rawanta was telling me that there is a lot of MBA students doing MBA with API. I hope at least a couple of people will do some research on this kind of sustainability and IR4, because I think it's an important aspect in our future development. More than half the global value created today is achieved by less than 1/10 of the global population. Sustainable political, economic, and social stability can only be achieved if mankind is able to create worldwide, and not only in the first world, but improving the living conditions of human dignity in other regions of the world, close quote. Even Sri Lanka at the moment, we are going through these kind of problems, and that is why we have so many issues in our country. Impact of IR4 on the built environment professional. As built environment professionals, this impact of IR4 will be faced with engineering challenges. It will include the design of processes and products with improved usefulness and less negative environmental impact. Technological interpreted as science will be systematically exploited for useful purposes. Technology will enable process to transform natural resources into products to meet human needs. The interaction between research and education will impose dynamics as how to create solutions will be developed for the relevant task. You see, today there was a news item that there is going to be an electric car in Sri Lanka. I think that's a huge potential and innovation for Sri Lanka for our current problem of fuel. Due to new means of transport and communication, knowledge and value creation will no longer be limited to niches of wealth, but will be more and more accessible to everyone, everywhere, at any time. So this is our hope. These dynamics must be understood and well managed in different regions of the globe, considering the different societal frames with different value systems in consideration to economical, ecological, socio-political issues in the various parts of the world. With reference to a book written on sustainable construction in the era 4th Industrial Revolution, they indicate that when working towards sustainable construction projects, the 4th Industrial Revolution can bring the technologies that would assist and accelerate the construction sustainability. The various digital tools will help in enhancing construction projects sustainability. It will provide in-depth insight into concept of sustainable construction across both developing and developed countries for construction professionals, sustainability experts, researchers, educators, and other stakeholders. Having discussed about the arrival of the 4th Industrial Revolution, IR4, and its impact on sustainable development state, I would like to bring up some examples of how various companies, public institutions in various parts of the world has embraced this phenomenon of SD and IR4. For example, Ferrovial, a company, a group of Ferrovial is a Spanish multinational company involved in the design, construction, financing, operation, and maintenance of transport, infrastructure, and urban services. So this company with Microsoft have already started the work together on the former Smart Road project, where Ferrovial and Microsoft have agreed a global alliance to advance the development of sustainable digital solutions for the construction, infrastructure, and mobility industries. I know some of these things are, but my son is doing some of these things in US, and I know that this digital work is being done. The agreement includes 2 companies working on the digitalization of ferrovial operations, including processes, automation, frontline worker communication, and project collaboration and development of zero trust cybersecurity models. I really can't understand, mainly because our IT sector is very well advanced, very knowledgeable, and I really don't understand why they are not doing things like this. I'm not aware, pardon me for saying, because I'm not aware, but if these things are being done, it's fantastic. This is a way for us to go for the future. So I hope IT sector, I know that commercial credit is one of your, I think, sponsors or whatever. I'm sure they'll be able to sponsor these kinds of projects that will enhance the development of our sector in the future. The agreement also includes a search for new ways of building and providing energy for the optimization of Microsoft data centers and the development of innovative technological initiatives and solutions that enable sustainable development. The pair is also collaborating on data capture and processing solutions to improve sustainability objectives at operational and corporate levels. These include intelligent collection of emissions data and the creation of dynamic reporting on business activity, such as carbon and footprints. I mean, sometimes when I read them, it's mind-boggling, the things that are happening in the world, and where I'm not sure whether we are in forefront of any of these things. Ferrovial and Microsoft already collaborate on the so-called AIBIA thing. This alliance represents a common vision and strategy around the value of digitalization and sustainability in the development of digital solutions to accelerate the digitalization of infrastructure. Now, I know this is happening in United States and other parts of the world. Why can't we digitalize all our infrastructure, our roads, and all these other infrastructure? But nobody is taking any notice of these things. As per CEO of Ferrovial and President of Microsoft Spain, the alliance share commitment to innovation, digitalization, and sustainability. The experience and leadership of both companies will enable them to advance the joint development of sustainable digital solutions to transform the construction, infrastructure, and mobility industry. Another example of digitalization is the creation of new algorithms that automatically identifies architectural elements and create 3D models of building interiors. Of course, this has been captured by architects. We are doing this to a certain extent. But however, over the last year, the demand for digital twins has increased. I will show you a picture of what I mean by digital twins. Additionally, point clouds are used to create 3D models within BIM methodologies. The algorithm works with organized and unorganized point clouds and provide 3D models of building in vector format. Similar 3D city models are used as an underlying base for smart cities. You know that India has about 6 smart cities. We don't have any one at all. Before being combined with other smart technology, such as building sensors, traffic control, street lighting, and other advanced tools. The only smart thing that we have, I think, in our Marine Drive, we have a little bit of solar lighting in our light poles. Other than that, I don't see any other smart technology. 3D city models are being built using various spatial data acquisition techniques. So I just wanted to show you, because I've been talking, some of the pictures of the digital tools. You know, the digital tool will completely twine that you can understand the building and see what are the problems, what are the characters, whether there's going to be any disaster, whether the foundations are good, or the complete picture of that building can be done in a digital tool. I know this is done in UK and United States, so that the buildings can be twined or digitally twinned, so that you can understand the building. Now, I think when there was a big disaster in Florida, I think when those buildings collapsed near the waterfront, beach waterfront, I think some of them had been digitally twined, so they were able to find out what was the cause of that building to fall down or whatever. So these are the new techniques. I hope one day our IT sector also will help us to do some of these digital twinning of our building. So this is another design and build construction of a digital twin. And this is another one, you see. So I just gave you a few pictures. See, this is another one. So really, our IT sector, our professionals have a lot of future in these things and innovative methodologies that I think we don't have to be bleak about it. Our industry is very good and we have to look at the things that we can do in the future. And this is another one. A point cloud is a set of data points in space. The points may represent a 3D shape or object. Each point position has its set of Cartesian coordinates. Point clouds are generally produced by 3D scanners or by photogrammetry software, which measure many points on the external surfaces of objects around them. So these are being used, I know, in the various parts of the world to plot various things. For example, when I was there, just to digress a little bit, when I was living in United States with my husband, we were in the Kansas City University, and we were doing a research where they were plotting all the wheat that is produced around the world by this kind of photogrammetry or this Cartesian coordinates and things, so that at given point they knew where the wheat was being harnessed, where the wheat is not good, so that they had a sort of competitive edge on the wheat acquiring for this. So this is going back many years ago. So this was these things were done in that time when I was. I can tell you the time also. It was in 1983, 84, 85. And that is a time when we were in University of Kansas and we were doing research on things. And this was one of the research that we were all involved in, and plotting the wheat generation in various parts of the world. And in fact, in the Library of Kansas, there was a book on the railways of Sri Lanka. So I was amazed, but see, I don't think we even have that. So anyway, these are some of the things that I thought that I will tell you. So similarly, machine learning, you see, I'm just giving you, I'm sure Dr. Ravanta would have shared this, so you can read about it. These are some of the new technologies that are being used. Definition of nanotechnology. I know paint manufacturers are using nano paint. I mean, I know the Lotus Tower is a big discussion in the market, but however, on the stem of the Lotus Tower, we applied nano paint because otherwise it's very difficult to reach the Lotus Tower stem. So we use that paint, so that nano paint for the Lotus Tower, so that at least we're used in a little way this nanotechnology. It refers to constructing and engineering of the functional systems at very micro level, or we can say at atomic level. Nanotechnology is a wonderful technology in which scientists rearrange atoms and molecules of matter to new specifications. So this is a very important technology for our construction industry in the future also. Then this is a robot, and this robot can go anywhere and measure any building without human beings. You see, I know that when we had to measure buildings, the amount of problem that we have, but today you can just send this robot and get everything measured and documented, and even the drawings produced, so that the construction industry professionals can use these models and techniques for production of their documentation. And also it cuts time, and also it increases quality. Okay, so these are some of the technologies that we have used, or digital tools that are being used in the construction industry. In the IR4 or Industrial Revolution. This is virtual reality. I'm sure you know about this, an artificial environment where people can do things and interact in the environment using mobile devices such as VR glasses. But I think holograms are also being used so that you can lecture from here, but if you are doing your lecture in Japan, you can be hologram to that stage, and as if you are doing the lecture from there. I've seen that being done. So I think these are some of the things we can be used. Artificial intelligence, they are making a computer, robot, or software thing can act like a human. So these are very, I think self-driven car is already there now. So we are, I mean, not us, but in the world, we are going there. So I think Sri Lankan industry, the professionals, the academics, all of us must look at this for the future. So another one closer to our home, a study has been conducted in 3 cities in Malaysia, Putrajaya, Shah Alam, and Johor Bahru, to complete a large-scale environment using 3D spatial data. This has been carried out by integration of different types of data sets or sensors using a software, namely Bentley Context Capture software. They are doing smart cities there. Another initiative that has been taken by the Global Cement and Concrete Association, GCCA, is the undertaking of a collective responsibility for carbon reduction in construction. You know, building sector has very high carbon footprint. So GCCA states that the concrete's carbon footprint is notoriously high. It currently accounts for 2.6 gigatons of carbon dioxide annually, around 7% of total global emissions, and is identified by the Global Cement and Concrete Association and the necessity for drastic action. Andrew Minson, Concrete and Sustainable Construction Director at GCCA, said that they have a responsibility to change the behavior and lower the emissions. The concrete sector has set out its roadmap to net zero carbon emissions by 2050. He states that there are 3 ways construction professionals can help use of secondary cementous materials in clients' brief. One of the things that we do, I'm not promoting myself, is when we do a project, we tell the client as a special service the carbon content or the carbon footprint of that building, so that he or she knows what is the carbon footprint, so that they can reduce that carbon footprint if they are very, very conscious of sustainability and global global warming and things like that. So he says, okay, so efficiency of design and construction and wider knowledge on the life cycle carbon analysis. He also states that the construction professionals could be doing more to reduce concrete carbon impact in their projects. So we as a company are looking at this, because no point teaching students if you don't practice. So we are now doing a little bit of this also in our companies. Right. The other initiative taken is a BAM project, which is called Buildings as Material BAM. Can you remember I talked about circular economy, circular construction? Now this is what we mean by circular construction. We make buildings as material banks. Now today we don't have money to bring things from abroad because most of the construction industry depends on foreign exchange for our materials. So the new technology that has been used, being used is this, called BAM. In BAM, 16 partners from 8 European countries have been working together with one mission, enabling a systematic shift in the building sector by investigating and creating circular solutions. Today, building materials end up as waste when no longer needed, meanwhile destroying ecosystems, increasing environmental costs, and creating risk of resource scarcity. You know that our plumbing, as well as plumbing pipes, electrical conduits, all these are plastic or whatever, and they become increasingly environmental and destroy the ecosystem. So to create a sustainable future, the building sector needs to move towards a circular system, a pattern in which buildings and building materials are used, reused, adapted, and rebuilt over and over again. So this is some new thing that even architects we are looking at, the quantity surveyors are looking at, so that we can tell our clients to re-look at when we are building these things. Worthless materials are considered as waste, while valuable materials are reused and recycled. Increased value equals less waste, and that is what BAM is creating. Ways to maintain and increase the value of building materials. Some contributions are increasing awareness of sustainability and circular economy. So circular economy systems are, I've just given you a little pictures of that. You see, you have demolition, right? There, so you have landfill, construction and demolition waste, reuse, so recycling, natural resources like that. It's a complete circle. I don't want to go into a lot of detail because I have to finish before 5 and there's a question time. Then this is another picture of how smart cities need smart buildings. So I have sort of covered quite a lot of things. So BAM will contribute to enablement of systemic shift where buildings designed for change can be incorporated into a circular economy. Through design and circular value chains, materials in buildings maintain their value instead of being to be waste. Buildings will function as banks of valuable materials, building materials and building systems, conserving material value and functionality. So materials and building components can be reused and thus decreasing the need for primary resource mining. Increasing awareness of sustainability and circular economy, downcycling of construction and demolition of waste and landfilling practice are also some benefits. Closely linked to the digitalized trend, such as building information modeling, is considered as one of the most promising innovations in the modern era of architecture, engineering, and construction industry. Industrialization has led to many of the world's current economic problems. For example, climate change, unsafe levels of pollution, the depletion of fishing stocks, toxins in rivers and soils, overflowing levels of waste on land and in the oceans, loss of biodiversity, and deforestation can all be traced to industrialization. As the fourth industrial revolution gathers pace, innovations are becoming faster, more efficient, and more widely accessible than before. Technology is also becoming increasingly connected. In particular, we are seeing a merging of digital, physical, and biological realms. New technologies are enabling societal shift by having an effect on economics, values, identities, and possibilities for future generations. We have a unique opportunity, even in Sri Lanka, to harness this fourth industrial revolution. The fourth, so benefits of the risk of benefits and risk are the fourth industrial revolution presents also great promise to leapfrog traditional development, accelerate the transition to more sustainable urban future. Fourth industrial revolution technology such as artificial intelligence, autonomous vehicles and drones, Internet of Things, advanced material, 3D printing. Now, you know, 3D printing is used to build 3-story buildings today, and biotechnology are particularly relevant to our built environment professionals. Cities can harness these binary technologies combined with each other with new business models to not only enhance urban economic productivity, but to reduce environmental impact and increase well-being. The fourth industrial revolution also presents its own set of risks and could also aggravate existing threats to environmental security or create entirely new risks that will need to be mindful of. In conclusion, I have in this lecture attempted to give you an overview of the fourth industrial revolution, IR4, and its effects on the sustainable development. It is our duty as built environment professionals or even other professionals who are listening to this lecture to see how fourth industrial revolution is changing the environmental sustainability in emerging cities and in the region. And it's a shining light on existing and future opportunities for these cities to harness innovation for sustainable outcomes. Further, to invest in the enabling technologies, infrastructure, and skills to ensure that our professionals are not left behind. Further, to be aware as how to minimize unintended harmful impacts of the fourth industrial revolution. Even though currently in Sri Lanka, the future of the construction industry is in the lows, we as construction professionals should be aware that with all these new technologies and our very big IT, knowledgeable IT sector and the business sector, if we learn to embrace them and use them to our advantage, the future of our professionals will be sustainable and will have a great future. I am a firm believer of our industry as it is said to be the barometer of the economy. So that is my lecture. Thank you so much. And I hope my lecture was stimulating and was useful in understand the concepts of IR4 and sustainable development. Thank you very much. Dr. Rohantha.
Thank you very much, Professor. It was a wonderful session. I mean, I myself upgraded myself with regard to this whole area of IR4 and how the technological revolution is like changing the landscape of the country. There are a few questions coming through. I'm going to just pick up some of them only, Professor.
Yeah.
First question they're asking you is that how much of the industrial revolution basic practices are practiced in Sri Lanka?
Not many, Rohantha, sad to say. Since I don't know whether the IT sector is doing anything, but in the construction industry, in my sector, other than solar energy and BIM and things like that, nothing much is used.
Professor, very interesting question coming from Manoj, who's on the MBA program at Staffordshire University, and he is saying, being a very eminent professor of emerita, could you kindly tell us how you see the current situation that Sri Lanka is faced with economically?
Of course, it's a very difficult question, but on the other hand, I am as I said, I'm very optimistic. At the moment, as I said, we in the industry is having a set of laws because of the economic and political problems. But I think we have to help ourselves. That is why I am saying that our industry with the other sectors, if we can do our own entrepreneurial projects to develop our industry, so that I think we have a good future. You know, we shouldn't be looking at it gloomily and saying, oh, we are going down and we have no way of coming up. But if we look at that pessimistic way, we'll all go down. But I am not looking at it from that point of view. At the moment, I'm just saying my company, we are looking at carbon footprint so that we can we can work out what is the carbon footprint of your building and say, okay, let's see how we can reduce it or improve it. If your concrete is having a high carbon, why can't the structural engineers do some value engineering and reduce that? So these are some of the things that our professionals can do. I mean, Manoj, I'm not saying the industry is really doing well, but for just 1.5 years, we have to stay afloat doing these innovative things to become better so that when the highs come, we are there. You see, that's how the construction industry works. So don't despair, do good projects, do innovative things, and hope for the best.
That's a very interesting question. How much has the construction industry been affected? Comes from a lady called Iram from the ABA group. She's asking, has the construction industry got severely affected in the last 3 years?
Yes, I must say, because all the construction material has gone up. For example, a ton of steel is about 400 to 500,000. Cement has gone up to about 3,000. So high, the materials are extremely high. The cost of material has gone up. So the labor is dwindling because people have gone to their villages because of the COVID and various things there. So most of the big companies have stopped work. They have stopped work because they cannot manage to pay their salaries to their staff. Big companies have something like 5,000 staff in the big companies. So they are looking at to see how, in fact, some of the companies have asked the government to give them 500 acres or some acres to put their construction sector people to do agriculture to survive. So these are some of the things that the construction industry is looking at. But I am saying we don't have to totally look at that. There now, for example, if you look at China, Dr. Rohanta, every little village or town has a job. For example, they do ironmongery or, locks and, things like that. Then some are doing blocks, like that. They specialize in all these materials, then we can make ourselves. In fact, this morning I had a meeting with all our architects. Let's design new products so that we can build them here, so that our construction industry can use it rather than importing from abroad, but quality products so that our industry can come up. So these are the new things that we are looking at. So yes, we are very badly affected, but everybody is very optimistic. But for next 1.5 years, I think we are trying to lie low a little bit, right? And do difficult. But we have got our contractors have got a moratorium till end of December so that they don't have to pay their interest and things like that. Government has given us a moratorium, not for the consulting sector, but for the contracting sector, a moratorium so that the banks can ask them for their interest at the moment. But they will have to pay one day. But for the moment, till this thing is settled, we have a moratorium till December. Okay. I hope I have answered.
Very interesting question coming up. This question is there a possibility for us to export our talent globally?
Yes, of course. At the moment, I'm one of those firm believers. I have a company in Qatar, and we have outsourced all our, I have an outsourced company here as well as a company in Qatar. We have 73 Sri Lankan quantity surveys working there. So our talent is exported. We are exporting our talent. At the moment, we are looking at other parts of the world, okay? And also for the architects, we are now looking at exporting our services to our sister institutions all over the world to ask whether, for the moment, till such time these 2 years pass, whether they can hire us on short term or long term. So there is and contractors are going to countries like, already big timers have gone, Access, Sankem, all of them have gone to big timers, have gone to countries in the various parts of the world. The smaller ones are now we are trying to see when we can go to a country called Guinea in Africa, Uganda, like that, so that we can see whether we can work there or get some work. So there is a big demand. If we were the export development, whatever the department should do something about it, export our services. But of course, we can't give any bank guarantees or things like that because we don't have the money. So some kind of way of working out should be there. Okay, we are all ready to export our services.
Fantastic, Professor, and thank you sincerely for the time you have taken. I know I've taken 15 minutes extra than what I have committed to you, but I really appreciate it's been a fantastic experience, and the way that you covered the Q&A session was so useful. Ruth, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Rohanta. Professor Chitra, thank you so much for sharing with us your valuable time and being with us on this MBA Diary series. Ma'am, you've shared with us your knowledge on the history of the Industrial Revolution, and ways of how to maintain and sustain the Industrial Revolution further. And it is our hope that our students have picked up on certain topics for their research work and that they will be able to progress through. And we hope to seek your guidance for our students in future as well. With that said, before we draw to a close, I'd like to remind our industry partners or corporate members present that at APIT, we have an intensive internship program on offer. So if you have any opportunities available for internships, do share with us for our students. And with this, we have truly come to a close on this MBA Diary session today. So from us here, before I close, I'd like to thank our technical team at APIT for the technical support we've received, our students, our alumni, corporate partners, and well-wishers here in Sri Lanka and across the world. So this said, a good day, a great evening, and a good night to all of you. Take care until we meet next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Dr. Anta.
Thanks, Professor.